You know, it's funny how something as simple as what we eat, those little choices we make every day without thinking, can add up to either make us feel alive and vibrant or just plain tired and achy. If you're over 60, like I am, you've probably had this moment too. You're standing in the kitchen, staring at your plate, thinking, this used to make me feel good, now it just makes me feel bloated or foggy or stiff. And that's the part no one tells us, right? That some of the foods we grew up loving, the ones that were always on the dinner table, those might be the very things quietly wearing us down. Now, don't worry, this isn't about giving up everything you love or living on kale and lemon water. That's not realistic. And frankly, we've earned a bit more joy in our meals, haven't we? But I do want to share something with you that I wish someone had told me years ago. Some everyday foods, even the ones that seem innocent, maybe even healthy, can actually cause harm once we hit a certain age, especially after 60. Our bodies change, digestion slows down, metabolism shifts, and what used to be no big deal can suddenly throw our whole system off balance. So today, let's have a real conversation about this. Not to scare you, but to help you feel more in control, more informed. In this video, we're going to talk about 6 common foods, things you might be eating every single day that could be quietly hurting your health. And I'm going to explain why in a way that's simple and easy to understand. Let's start with something that's probably sitting in your kitchen right now. It might even be in your coffee cup this very morning. Milk, or cream, or even those little flavored coffee creamers. For years we were told milk is essential for strong bones, and that might have been true when we were younger, but as we age, our bodies often start reacting differently to dairy. I know I used to drink milk every morning without a second thought. I loved it cold, straight from the fridge. Then, somewhere in my 60s, I started getting more joint pain, my knees especially. I blamed it on age, on gardening, even on old injuries. But what I didn't realize is that many people over 60 become more sensitive to the proteins in milk. It can quietly trigger inflammation, especially in the joints, making that morning stiffness even worse. Some people also experience more bloating or digestive upset with milk. Even if they're not lactose intolerant in the way doctors typically diagnose, it's more subtle than that. It can just be a low-level discomfort that we start thinking is normal, but it's not. The tricky part is dairy is in so many things. Cheese, cream sauces, baked goods, even some crackers. And when our body's not processing it well anymore, it can lead to inflammation that shows up as fatigue, brain fog, or even more serious issues like increased risk of heart disease. Have you noticed yourself feeling more sluggish after a meal that's heavy on dairy? Or maybe waking up with puffier fingers or aching knees? That could be a quiet clue from your body, and the good news is, if you start swapping out just 1 or 2 servings a day with a non-dairy option, like unsweetened almond milk or coconut cream, you might notice a big difference in how you feel. I certainly did. Now, here's another one that really surprised me. It's something we've always thought of as healthy, even wholesome. It's the kind of food that shows up in sandwiches, salads, even on its own as a quick bite. Whole wheat bread. Or really any kind of wheat-based bread. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, oh no, not another gluten thing, hang on. This isn't about trends or cutting out everything with wheat in it, but for many seniors, especially those of us dealing with bloating, irregular digestion, or unexplained weight gain, bread can be a sneaky saboteur. Wheat today is not the same as it was 40 or 50 years ago. It's been hybridized and changed, and many modern wheat products, even the ones labeled whole grain, contain a type of protein called gliadin that can increase appetite and trigger inflammation. I had no idea that a simple turkey sandwich could be what was making my stomach feel heavy or my energy crash in the afternoon. But once I cut it out for just a week, it was like someone flipped a switch. My jeans fit better, my afternoon brain fog lifted, and I wasn't as hungry all the time. Have you ever had one of those days where you eat lunch and then immediately want a nap? That's not just a sign of aging, it might be your body reacting to something it can't process the way it used to. Bread, pasta, crackers, all of those can have that effect. And because it's so gradual, we tend to accept it as just getting older, but we don't have to. Now, I'm not saying go cold turkey and throw out every slice of bread in your house, but try paying attention to how you feel after meals with wheat versus ones without. Maybe swap your sandwich for a lettuce wrap, or your toast for a slice of grain-free bread made with almond flour. Just experiment. You might be surprised by what you learn from your own body. And by the way, if you're still with me right now, I want to know. Just type the number 2 in the comments below. That way, I know you're listening, you're engaged, and you're ready to take better care of yourself, one small step at a time. Honestly, seeing your comments is one of my favorite parts of this whole thing. It reminds me we're not alone in this. There's something so empowering about discovering that the things we thought were harmless might actually be holding us back, and that we have the power to do something about it. Not tomorrow, not after the next doctor's visit, right now. So as you think about what's in your fridge or pantry today, don't worry about changing everything at once. Just stay curious, listen to your body. It has a lot to say, and if we give it the right fuel, it will thank us in ways we didn't even realize were possible. Let's keep going, because once you start tuning in, really listening to how your body responds to what you eat, it's like the lights come back on. You don't just move through your day, you feel your day. You notice more energy, less stiffness, a clearer mind, and it all starts by asking one simple question. Is this helping me feel better or worse? Let me tell you about something else that often sneaks into our meals, even when we think we're eating light or clean. It's in salad dressings, canned soups, sauces, even frozen meals that say low-fat or heart-healthy on the box. I'm talking about vegetable oils, things like soybean oil, corn oil, and canola oil. They've been marketed for decades as a healthier choice, but for many of us, especially as we get older, these oils can cause real trouble behind the scenes. Here's why. These oils are high in something called omega-6 fatty acids, and while our body does need a little omega-6, most of us are getting way too much. The problem is, when omega-6 builds up and doesn't have enough omega-3 to balance it out, it can lead to something called chronic inflammation. And that's the kind of inflammation that doesn't show up as a fever or swelling, but instead it quietly ages our joints, clogs our arteries, even affects our memory. I used to buy a healthy vinaigrette from the store that I loved. I used it on everything, salads, grilled vegetables, even as a marinade. One day I actually read the label closely, and the first ingredient wasn't olive oil like I thought, it was soybean oil, and then canola oil. Two ingredients that have been linked to inflammation and oxidation in the body. Once I switched to making my own dressing with real extra virgin olive oil, lemon juice, and some herbs, my digestion improved and my skin even looked a little brighter. Have you noticed that? Sometimes inflammation doesn't just show up inside. It shows on our face, our hands, even our posture. And the foods we eat every day play a bigger role than we think. Now, here's something that's even trickier. Because it feels like a healthy treat, it's often recommended as a better option for people trying to cut back on sugar. You see it in little packets at coffee shops and restaurants, bright colors, cheerful names, but many artificial sweeteners can actually confuse our bodies more than help them. I remember switching to diet sodas and sugar-free snacks in my late 50s, thinking I was being smart. No sugar, fewer calories, I told myself. But after a while, I started noticing I was craving sweets more than ever. And the more of these sweeteners I used, the more I felt off. My digestion was irregular, and my energy spiked and crashed like a roller coaster. It turns out that certain artificial sweeteners like sucralose, aspartame, and even some of the newer ones can mess with the gut bacteria that help keep us balanced. They may not have calories, but they can still affect insulin, appetite, and even mood. And when our gut health is thrown off, everything else starts to wobble too. If you've ever had a day where you just can't stop snacking or your stomach feels unsettled for no real reason, take a look at the labels on what you're eating or drinking. Those diet versions might not be doing you any favors. Instead, consider using small amounts of natural sweeteners like monk fruit or stevia in pure form, just enough to satisfy without causing chaos inside. It's strange, isn't it? We spend years believing we're doing the right thing, following advice, reading labels, trusting those words like light, reduced, or zero. But so often it turns out the simpler, more natural version is the better path. The less processed it is, the easier it is for our body to recognize and use it in a healthy way. And if that feels overwhelming, just take a breath. Nobody's perfect. You don't need to throw everything out or feel bad for what you didn't know. I didn't know either. But once you do know, once you start noticing, something shifts. You begin to feel more in control, more connected to what's really going on inside. Let me ask you something. Have you noticed yourself waking up more often in the night lately, or feeling more forgetful? Maybe not full-on memory loss, just those moments where you walk into a room and forget why, or you can't find the word that's right on the tip of your tongue. That can be frustrating. And while there are many causes, one thing that doesn't get talked about enough is how food plays a role in brain clarity. Certain ingredients, like artificial sweeteners and inflammatory oils, can cloud our mental clarity just as much as they affect our joints or digestion. But the beautiful part is, when we remove or reduce those things, even a little, we often start to notice small, beautiful wins, like waking up without grogginess, or walking into that same room and remembering exactly why you went in there. Little wins matter, especially now. And just like before, if you're still with me, I'd love to hear from you. Let's do something fun. Type the word clear in the comments if this part of the video resonated with you. It's just our way of sharing that we're still paying attention to ourselves, still learning, still growing. I read every single one of those comments, and it fills my heart to know we're in this together. There's a kind of freedom that comes with learning what doesn't serve you anymore, a kind of power, because once you take back control of the small things, what you eat, what you bring into your home, those small things begin to add up. They become big things. They become more energy, more peace, more life. And it's not about being perfect, it's about being present, about deciding that your body, your mind, and your future are worth that little bit of extra care, because they are. You are. Let's keep going, my friend, because now that you've started seeing how powerful these small food choices really are, it's almost like pulling back the curtain. You can't unsee it. You start noticing things. How you feel after a meal, how long your energy lasts, whether your body feels lighter or heavier, not just in pounds, but in movement, in spirit. And that brings me to another food that so many of us still enjoy, often without thinking twice. Something that feels comforting, filling, and familiar. And that's processed meats. Things like deli turkey, ham, bacon, sausages, even those little beef sticks we sometimes keep for a quick snack. They taste good, sure, they're convenient, but for seniors, these kinds of meats can quietly work against our health in more ways than one. You see, processed meats are often packed with sodium, preservatives like nitrates, and added chemicals that can stress the heart and kidneys. That excess salt alone can cause your body to retain water, making blood pressure rise and your joints swell. I remember visiting a friend not long ago. She's 72 and still sharp as a tack, but she told me her fingers had started feeling stiff and puffy in the mornings. She thought it was arthritis, but then she mentioned how she'd been eating more cold cuts lately because they were easy. I gently suggested she take a break from them, just for a week, and try roasted chicken or even canned wild salmon instead. A week later, she called me and said, "You're not going to believe this. I can get my rings on again." That's the kind of change we're talking about. Not miracles, not magic, just removing what's getting in the way so your body can do what it's built to do: heal, recover, and thrive. Sometimes, though, the trickiest foods aren't the obvious ones. They're the ones we've always thought of as healthy, and one of those, especially for seniors, is fruit juice. Now I know that might sound surprising. I mean, we grew up thinking orange juice was practically medicinal, a glass of vitamin C in the morning, right? But here's the thing, most fruit juices, even the ones labeled 100% juice, are concentrated forms of natural sugar with very little fiber to balance it out. When you eat an orange, your body slows down because of the fiber, but when you drink juice, you're basically flooding your system with fructose. That can cause a sharp blood sugar spike followed by a crash, and over time, those spikes can wear down your energy, impact your mood, and even strain your pancreas. If you've been drinking juice regularly and still feeling tired, foggy, or craving sweets, this could be part of the puzzle. One of the most helpful shifts you can make is to switch from juice to water with a slice of lemon or cucumber, or even just eating the whole fruit instead. That simple change supports your body's natural rhythms so much better. Sometimes when I talk about this stuff, people ask, "But isn't it too late?" And my answer is always the same: no, absolutely not. It's never too late to make a change that helps you feel better. I don't care if you're 60 or 90. If you give your body the right conditions, it will respond, every time. The signs we've talked about, the fatigue, the joint aches, the digestive issues, the brain fog, they're not just part of getting older. They're signals, clues, messages from your body asking for help. And the beautiful thing is, you can help. You can make adjustments. You can take something out that's been dragging you down and replace it with something that lifts you up, something nourishing, something real. I want you to think about something for a moment. Close your eyes if it helps. Picture yourself 6 months from now. What would it feel like to get out of bed and not ache? To have steady energy throughout the day, not jittery or crashing, but calm and steady. What would it feel like to move with more ease, to think clearly, to feel light again, not just in body but in spirit? That version of you isn't a fantasy, it's within reach, and it doesn't require perfection. It starts with small, intentional steps. Swapping one food, reading one label, saying no thank you to something that doesn't serve you anymore, and celebrating every time you do, because here's the truth. Aging is not a decline, it's a shift, a transition into a wiser, more intuitive version of yourself. You've lived through decades of trends, advice, fads, and food rules, but now you get to decide what actually works for you. You get to tune into the messages your body has been whispering all along, and I'm right here with you. We're walking this road together. So if any part of this spoke to you, if you saw yourself in the stories or felt a spark of motivation, please let me know in the comments, share what stood out, tell me what you're ready to change, or just type the word ready, because even that one word means something powerful. It means you're choosing awareness, you're choosing better days ahead. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it, it helps others find this message too. And subscribe if you want more conversations like this. Not lectures, not rules, just real honest talk about how to feel good again, because you deserve that. And most of all, remember this, the goal isn't just to live longer, it's to live better, with clarity, with strength, with joy. Every single day counts, and every choice you make matters. You are not too old, too broken, or too late. You're right on time. So here's to you, to your health, your future, and the vibrant years still ahead. Take care of yourself. I'll see you soon.